Cool. Let's see. Oh, looks like. You guys hear me now? Okay, what?
I can hear you.
Perfect. So, which means that do I just continue from where I ended?
Do I assume that everybody that was there was here? Yeah.
Maybe start afresh.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
It looks like I'm hearing myself twice. It is working now well, I think, because my voice was being heard twice. So I wanted to be sure that
It's fine.
it's fine. All right, perfect. So I can share. Allow what happens. No, something is wrong. I think
Okay, maybe it will rejoin us again. Okay, cool.
does it work for me now?
So what do you want to do? You want to share what?
Because it seems like I was hearing myself twice, and I was trying to avoid that.
No, we are hearing you clearly on this side.
All right, that's fine now.
Or maybe you sign out in the other room.
Okay. Are the other people hearing me now? All right, I'm about to start sharing. So I was saying that we were on the browser. Okay. So to get myself properly, I would say, here am I. So are you able to find your way into the browser? If you have ANPDB there,
yes,
then you would browse on the left corner. You would find this list of search options. I typically would like to do this. I typically like to do this directly on the browser so everybody sees what I'm doing. I'll prefer just search, share directly from the browser. I think it's a lot better, right? It's a lot better for me. Just search a new browser or this. I just use this. So it's a lot better for me if you can. Yeah. So there we go. If you can see this, then I'll just go straight here. African compounds.org. So if you are there, you would certainly see these search options on the right part of my screen. Okay. And if you are there, the first thing I would do is let us do a quick search by keywords. All right. So if you want to do a keyword search, you can start from under here. You can start from here, keyword search here. So if you can see it, that would be great. So you simply click there. What is your interest? Are you interested in HIV? Are you interested in, of course, you cannot talk about SARS-CoV-2 because at the time we're putting this initially, there was no data for SARS-CoV-2. Let us say malaria. I am interested in doing what Sam was doing. Right? If you click malaria, if you search malaria, certainly you're going to find many, many things here. And there are 14 pages of information. 14 pages of information on compounds, either that have anti-malaria property or compounds that for those who are just joining us, we are right now on the hands-on section for searching databases, and I will talk briefly in about 20 minutes on the ANPDB. So all these compounds you find here, you either be compounds that have some proven anti-malaria property, or the compounds were isolated from a plant that were traditionally used to treat malaria. So that's why you find them on the hit list. So let us say, for example, I am interested in the first compound there. If I click on this compound, this is a chemical structure from what everybody who knows has a bit of natural product chemistry. We know that this is a quinone. This part of the molecule is a quinone, and this other part of the molecule looks like xanthone, but it's not. But it's connected to this quinone. Now, this compound here is a molecular structure formula, and we have a smile string. Yes, you hear me?
I'm not sure if they are seeing the structure of the molecule.
Okay, they cannot see it from the screen. Okay, I go back on the list. You can only see the first screen, right?
Yes.
I see, because it opens on a new page. That's the problem. It opens on a new page. So every time I have to stop presenting and go to the next one. Oh no. It's tricky, right? Okay.
You open a new tab.
Yes, I have to always open, but I open a new, because with ANPDB, it always open a new tab all the time. It's not on the same tab. So, which means I have to stop sharing the previous page and start sharing the new one. Okay. So, which means this is the trick which I am trying to avoid. All right.
So why don't you share your entire screen?
Yes, that's better. That's better. That's what I'll do now. Entire screen, okay? That's better. So do you see it now?
It's coming up.
Yes, so if I'm sharing my entire screen, which means if I go here, you would see what I'm seeing now, right? Yeah. Perfect. So if this works, then this is the structure I was referring to. And this structure is it's a combination of an anthraquinone and something that looks like xanthone. So this is the molecular formula, and it has these smiles here. I hope you know what smiles are. Simple way of representing a molecule, simple molecular line entry for representing molecules. And this is the INKI here. The INKI is a lot more specific than the smile, in the sense that the INKI was developed by the International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry. And it's you would see that, for example, for one molecule, you can have several smiles, but you can only have one INKI for one molecule. That's the difference, basically. And this compound is nice because it's not also found in PopChem. And the molecular weight and the other information that Lipinski will find interesting will be these ones that you have here. So molecular weight, log P values, hydrogen bond donors and acceptors. You also have, interestingly, here, number of triple bonds, and the log Kp, which is a property interesting for skin permeability. And the log of the Hec inhibition is a property interesting for cardiac arrhythmia, for molecules that can potentially be toxic. It also tells us the number of metabolic reactions, and all these properties you find here are properties that were calculated from PICPROP, available in Schrödinger. And it tells you that for all these properties you have here, there's one Lipinski violation. Of course, the molecular weight. The molecular weight is more than 500, and the log P, actually, it's not up to 5, so it's fine. Okay. Yeah, so it's typically you have some queries when the Lipinski is more than 2 violations, but now just 1 violation. And in the literature, it was shown that this compound has anti-malaria property, antiplasmodial, and there's a comment which is there, and this comment says that this compound has a high inhibition of the growth of malarial parasite. So it has an ED50 value of 0.026 microgram per milliliter. So this is information that is available about this compound, Of course, we mentioned before it's a quinone, the big family of quinones, but specifically one of the moieties is an anthraquinone. And then this compound, from the compound card you have here, it tells you that the compound was identified from a species of the Nifolia family, the Nifolia genus, sorry. And these are typically known. This particular species is known traditionally in Ethiopia for the treatment of abdominal cramps and wound healing. And it gives you the plant family and the kingdom, Plantae. Of course, it tells you where this species is available, because samples of these species have been collected National Herbarium of the Science Faculty of Addis Ababa University, with a voucher specimen number there. So in essence, someone who is interested in Ethiopia to study work on this species, or someone else out of the continent may even find interest to know that the reference of this particular sample was there. So for authentication and verification that the correct species was harvested. And it is available from Ethiopia. And we are told that its place of collection is well described there. But unfortunately, the GPS coordinates of the place of collection are not known. And then it tells you a lot of information, including information about toxicity that was obtained from prediction from PKCSM. I mentioned this during the questions that came from Godlove's talk, where there was a question about whether Swiss AdMed can predict LD50 values. I mentioned that was not from Swiss AdMed, was from PKCSM. And the good thing is that if you have your own structure and you are interested in making a prediction, you can simply go to PKCSM here. And when you are there, for example, you can actually, oh, sorry, it's not running, it's down a bit. But of course, you can always check it. Good, here we are. So it's running. So for example, PKCSM is there. Let us say I'm interested in running my structure there. I will simply take, for example, here is my smiles. So PKCSM will accept smiles. So if I take the smiles of this compound here, I copy it, I can run it on PKCSM. So you can do the same thing for your structure. For some of you who are working with ChemDraw, you can actually draw your structure on ChemDraw and export the smiles and run it on PKCSM. So there we are. I've pasted my smile on PKCSM. And if I want just absorption property, I can just click here. If I want just distribution, I can click here. If I want metabolism, I can click. But if I want, for example, if only toxicity, I can do that. But if I want the entire AdMed profile of my compound, I simply click on that. Takes some time, and it starts running. Is a structure that we found actually from ANPDB, and it's already computing some of the properties that are loaded up there, including water solubility, CACO2 permeability, which are related to absorption and so on and so forth. So it's nice thing is that as each time a new property is calculated, it appears there, gives you ideas of how good this compound is going to be in terms of absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion and toxicity profiles, and so on and so forth. So somebody asked a question in the morning about LD50 values. So you can actually, when it finishes running, you will see the information there, particularly things about IMS toxicity, genotoxicity represented by the by this IMS assay, toxicity assay. And then you have here, for example, capacity to inhibit head channels, which are important for cardiac arrhythmia, which a molecule that blocks these channels can potentially lead to cardiac failure. For example, you can look at acute toxicity in rats, for example. This is usually, it gives you an idea of whether it's important to take your molecule further. If it's already showing toxicity in mice, there will be no need to take it further, And then, for example, things about toxicity in liver, like hepatotoxicity, you can actually have that. So we did not put all the data we computed in the ANPDB database, but I can show you here. If you are interested in all of it, you can simply go to PKCSM, copy the structure, copy the smiles from ANPDB, and run it on PKCSM, and you will have all the other properties they're looking for. Of course, this way is mostly things about Lipinski evaluation and so on and so forth, donor and acceptors, rotary bonds, log p values, and so on, total surface area, Weber rules, and all that. So if you are really interested in this kind of thing, you can do some quick search there to show if your molecule is of interest. All right. Then, for example, if you have the molecule here and all the information about the plant species and all that. Now, if you are really interested, you can even go further to check in the literature. The literature information is available as well. You can also check the authors who made this first study, so that if they already have samples of the compound in your database, there will be no need for you to. So if they already have samples of the compounds, you might not want to. If you are just interested in screening the compound, you might not want to go back to nature to try to reisolate, whereas the samples are available already. So this is it. Now, of course, you can read information on Wikipedia about this species. You also have the taxon ID, so you can actually go to taxonomy database and go further to see if this species name has changed over time, or if taxonomy has changed over time, because some of the very old literature, the species have undergone some changes in the system, in the way they are classified, and so on and so forth. Now, let us say I am interested in Nifolia. I'm interested in this particular plant species based on this particular compound. So what do? I go back to my previous page. If I am interested in Nifolia species, and I am told here that it is Nifolia foliosa. Now I go back here and I will go to the species list. And when I go to species list, I am interested in the entire database. Of course, oh no, it was from East Africa, so I don't need to worry about North Africa. I want to go faster, just go to East Africa because I saw it from Ethiopia. And I'm interested in Nifolia, so I go to letter K, right? That's where it was found. So Nifolia foliosa is here, okay? And the nice thing is I also have another Nifolia species. So if I'm interested in Nifolia foliosa, I would say that this species has 36 compounds which have been identified, which are included in the database. 36 compounds are available there. Now, I am not just interested in the species. I want to look at the other compounds found in there. Of course, I can click on the 36, and I have all these compounds, and I may ask myself which of the families of compounds are of interest. Is it only the quinones? Do I only look? You see that majority are the quinones actually, but I might want to look at other species with it. How about chrysophanol? Okay, it's an anthraquinone, simple structure, of course, and all of that. So another thing I could do with this is that I can actually want to play around. I say, okay, I'm not just interested in this specific species. I'm interested in the entire genus. Okay, so I go to the species list, and there again I go back to East Africa, and I am interested in Nifolia. Okay, and there we go. So Nifolia species are there. We have 2 of them actually, and then I see that one of them has 36 compounds. The other one has 10 of them. I can then begin to go deeper to find which of the compounds, structure by structure, are of interest in my study. Now, another thing I would tell you is that beyond just information on the compounds, we also have information on the species. For example, there is this database we call the Tropicals database. We also have Wikipedia, of course. You can always Google that on Google Wikipedia. But you can look at this species if you want to look at, for example, if you have identified your species from harvesting, and you are interested in seeing how it looks like. Okay, you can have a picture, an idea of how this could look like, so that you don't go and harvest a tree thinking it was a shrub, and or you can also go and if you are interested in Tropicals database, it will give you a lot more information. The Tropicals database was developed in NCI while Dave Newman was there, and while we were working on this project, it became interesting for us to also look at inputs of our compounds, of our species that are already in Tropicals. So unfortunately, it's a bit slow now. But Of course, you can go to tropicals and check there. So every species is specifically identified in external databases. Now, another thing we can do is that if you are interested in just the compound itself, for example, here we started off by searching malaria, and when we searched malaria, we found a long list of compounds, and we started by checking the first one, right? If I'm now back to interest in my compounds list, I can actually go back to my study that was there from the start, and that was my compound. And the name of my compound is, this is the name, okay? 10-cryptophanos, whatever. So I want to search this compound. So I go to my compound list, and I'm interested in this compound, right? This particular one. So I will start by 10, okay? So I go to the compounds list, okay? And then I am interested in this compound. So this is a list of compounds there, and I can actually scroll down and check where my compound has been found. Okay, so in essence, you have compounds list, you have species list, you have reference list as well if you are interested just in references, and so on and so forth. Maybe I allow you a brief time for questions before I continue my exploration of this database. Do you have any questions, please, up to now?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Oh, so I'm just thinking. So I just did a search on the malaria thing, and I wanted to download it.
Yeah, that option is not yet available. We are working on that. We are actually working on this in the sense that we are building a search engine where, if you want compounds that have a particular set of properties, for example, compound whose molecular weight is within a particular range, log P cut off within a particular range, you can actually select those one and download all of them. That option that is not yet there, but we are working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's but I see that I can download the whole database.
Yes, you can. You can download in the database, but the option to download subsections of it.
Subsets.
We are subsets of it in the next version. We plan to do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other question? I can take off maybe 5 more minutes and hand over to Daniel. Oh yeah, somebody's hand is up.
Yeah, that's Eric. Yes,
thank you for your presentation. Please, is it possible to modify a molecule that has not the activity we are looking for?
Yeah. This is of interest. Of course, say for example, you have a molecule with desired activity, but what we have so far in the database are compounds and their tested biological activity as referred in the literature. Now, if you want to modify the activity, something else altogether, maybe for example, you have a compound, an anti-malaria compound, for example, and you know its target, and you want to modify its chemical structure to see if it interacts better with the target. Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is going to be a subject of molecular modeling, and it can be of really interest in the next aspects. For example, when Daniel will be showing you molecular docking, once you have a dock conformation and you are sure that that's how the compound binds to the target, of course, you can actually modify the chemical structure and redock and see if the affinity increases or drops. That is altogether something else altogether. All right. If there's no more question, I just have a short thing to do again.
Yeah.
What? Yes.
Can I just a quick question here? What
Yes.
if you have measured data for a compound?
Yes.
And you predict these values, and have you
Yes.
tried to look at the difference between the measured and the predicted, whether the model is reliable, that sort of thing? Have you tried reliability for this? PKSM is called PKCSM, sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, PKCSM is based on machine learning models.
Yeah.
So it's a model that learns from itself. And of course, we know there can be issues related to the applicability domain based on the training set that was used to build these models, right? And we are not too sure if natural compounds were involved in the training of these models, but what we are sure is that these models were trained based on data from pharmaceutical industry, which I would say will be like more than 90% synthetic compounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the
that,
yeah.
So I asked that because I mean, in some cases, some compound of an active substance, you may lack measured data, some assessment. We usually use these sort of models and can you hear me?
Yeah, you very well.
Okay, something is happening here. We usually use models like this to predict this information and then use it for that assessment. But what regulators want to know is what are the limitations of this model. So
yeah,
would I find this on the paper that I see there is a paper? I think the model is described somewhere. Would it say what are the limitations and that sort of thing?
yeah.
Because models, I mean, all models are wrong, as they
Sure.
say, some are useful. That,
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, CAiSMD was published in JMed Chem in 2015. It's quite old now, 9 years old. And of course, the training data that was used, but of course we have not had an improved version published, and I don't know if they are still developing the models, but for sure at the time we published our first work in 2017, this was a really current tool that was used at the time. Of course, more people use Swiss ADME than CAiSMD. Of course, I know you guys, regulatory guys, you work with LeakScope. I think you guys do a lot of work with LeakScope, right? Yeah, a lot of LeakScope work. But for sure, the ideal scenario would be if you have a training set for which you have an R-square data. If you are using QSAR, for example, we have an R-square of 0.1. It's R-square of 1, but you don't have that, right? Even within your training data, you have outliers. So this can be an issue. All right. So I would say, yeah, thank you very much for the interest. So one last thing I would do is I'll take you guys to the last thing will be structure. Okay. The last search will be by structure. Are you there? Now, if you are on the structure, you would see that it's an interface that would load, and there it's a possibility to draw a chemical structure. The one I used in the tutorial is acetylsalicylic acid, which is the precursor for aspirin. And here, for example, I am interested in drawing this structure. For those of you who have worked with ChemDraw, for example, it's relatively easy. Okay. And then I am interested in an OH here. And then, of course, I would build an acetyl there. And then I would do something like this. Okay, and then of course the oxygen. Oh no, what did I do? And this is the oxygen there. All right, so acetylsalicylic acid. I have a problem now. I have to build the benzene. Now to build the carboxylic acid. Unfortunately, I have to break this, yeah. So I would more or less do this. So I want to be sure I have my aspirin. Are the chemists in the house? Is that correct? Acetyl. No, this is this formula. This is, yeah, good. Correct. So if that is fine, and I am interested in a similarity, I'm looking for similar molecules. So aspirin, for example, I might want to say, okay, I have a cutoff Tanimoto of 0.7. Of course, you already knew from yesterday from Yannick's talk what is Tanimoto coefficient. And if I'm interested in similarity search, for example, I'll simply select similarity. Now, when I was building my structure here, it was drawing the smiles. This is nice for those who cannot write smiles. For those who can write smiles, it's very easy. And once that is happening, I can now click on search, for example, and it would tell me, preferably, it would give me a list of compounds that are similar to aspirin. Okay, and it gives me 3 of them. give me 3 of the compounds that in my database are similar to aspirin, tells me that arginololic acid A is similar to aspirin with the similarity coefficient of 0.74. Tells me that as anisic acid as well, and also, of course, we know paramethoxy benzoic acid is also very similar. Of course, have the same core structure. Now, let us look at the first one. Now, we look at the first one. This is the structure, right? So this part of it looks like it has this component of aspirin, and this other part has the acetyl side. Of course, the only difference is this amine group, which is absent. And so, in essence, this compound is found in, it gives you the species from the family Sapotaceae. So, in essence, you can look at the parameters in there. So, you want to ask yourself, if aspirin is such a well-known anti-inflammatory drug for many years, can this compound from the medicinal plant also be a potential ability to campaigns? This can be some interest for you to look at. So similarity search is one of those things you can do if you have a compound of interest, which is a drug, and you want to look for other compounds that may have similar properties. Okay, that is one of it. I've shown you one of the molecules. There were 3 hits there. So you can actually do the same thing for artemisinin. You can do the same thing for any antiviral drug for treating COVID. You know, you can do this. For example, this is the other species, the other compound. You know, this is looks very much like aspirin. You know, because of the same core structure, and then we are told we're told this compound is phenolic, of course, but we were not told the activity of this compound because it was not referred in the literature. But of course, we are told that the extract from this species from which the compound has got, and from the genus as well, is known to have cytotoxic effects, anti-tumor activity, anti-plasmodic activity, and so on and so forth. So, in essence, you can even diuretic functions. So you can actually, this can be a way of searching compounds for potential activities, potential new activities for which they have not been investigated before. You know, look at this compound, for example, which we saw was very similar to aspirin, and we are told that that this compound is isolated from the species from the first time, and it's also from the same family, Sapotaceae, and so on and so forth. So you can find, there are different ways you can discover new activity. You can discover compound which has already a known activity, and you can want to investigate similar compounds or compounds from the same species, and so on and so forth. This particular last one I just mentioned, we are told that it came from a species that grows around Egypt, where the whole plant is used for treatment of fatigue and uterine hemorrhage, and so on and so forth for women, and also used as a charm for childbirth. So there are many things you can do with the database just to give you an idea of what is possible. So thank you for your attention. I hand over to Daniel. Or is it to Thomas? It's up to you guys.
Is Thomas available? Thomas? Are you around, Thomas? I think he's not around. I don't know.
So somebody said,
Thomas
I can see the search, sorry, for is somewhat based on functional groups. How about the stereochemistry of the molecules? Yeah, you can actually okay, because here it looks like they're all how do you say, they are all flat molecules. Yeah, sorry, there was one extra carbon I put on aspirin that was not there. Yeah. Any other question, please? All right, if there are no questions, then Daniel, over to you, please.
Thanks. I think you can stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. So since I will share some few slides, not many, and then we go to, I will show you something at the end. So with Fidele, was trying to say, maybe I start from the similarity search and what we do. Normally, doing so is something what we call like kind of lead optimization. And the thing where we do is this one that I'm going to share with you. Is this one? So I think you can see the screen, and I can only share this one. Perfect. So you see the screen, my screen? Can you see it very well?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect. So I continue from where you just stopped. Docking, we use a lot of techniques and a lot of approach. The machine learning you have been hearing now and then, molecular docking. But the most important is to move from heat molecule to heat optimization, or to eradicate that. And we can do it. The aim is to improve the activity of a molecule. Now, taking an example, this is a heat molecule, is a natural product, experimentally showed a good activity. But here, I did an experiment, and to optimize, to improve more the activity, which is now increasingly from minus 70.7 to minus 9.54 kilocalorie per mole. So this is, we can move now from this as the starting point to here. And basically what we do, the one we do is like Fidele was talking about, similarity search or assessment. So we can find similar molecule that we can optimize the molecule and obtaining even a more potent than the starting material. So once you have a starting, you have now a molecule. How do you go? We have different approaches. So we have a ligand-based drug design based and a structure-based drug design. Okay, with ligand-based drug design, you don't actually need to know the structure of the protein or the target. You need to have the molecules that are known to work, and you can work from there. So you can develop some models to train it, and then you to make the new molecule learn from the already trained. But our focus for this evening is on the structure-based drug design, where we need to know the structure of the protein. I will share another slide here that I think I will just talk briefly, and then we go to some exercise. Okay. Okay, this is it. Perfect. So I will not go through the entire screen, but I will just do this. I will go here. So this is what I was saying, that you needed to, the drug discovery process, you need to know the disease, identify the target, and then find a molecule, and then you need to go to clinical trial, preclinical and clinical testing. You go to human and go. So this is ideally a traditional way that we use in discovering drugs and in making medicine to the market. Ideally, we needed to involve computational approaches, and recently the advent of computers, hardware, softwares has made it possible to enter drug or medicine in clinical in a very short period of time. So like in every single step in identification of target, we will involve the silico approach, like bioinformatics, docking, with all up to getting a drug molecule, which really shortens the time. See that when you are doing structure-based drug design, in particular when you start with molecular docking. You need to take care. It's not just taking a molecule and dock. So in science, we don't do like that. So you need to first to understand very well your molecular target. If there is mutation, you need to understand. But you need to take care the etc. Buffer, the cofactor, the hydrogen atoms. So they play a very important role in structure-based drug design. So you need to be taking care about the protonation state of the protein is very important. The wonder where and so the question is, what happens if the protein is not resolved? Normally, we collaborate with the structural biologists who normally resolve the proteins by NMR, by X-ray, and fun enough, good nowadays we have we can do it by computers. So we do homology modeling. Thanks to AlphaFold has been doing a very good job in bringing up other computer, proteins, molecular target or resolving the proteins, which have shown a very good validation and correlation to the experimentally validated proteins. So homology modeling also is one of the approach that we use computationally to model the protein if it's not experimentally resolved. There are very key issues that need to be considered. The sequence similarity between the target and the template and the incorporation of the ligand during modeling. There are tools that are good like Modera, Rosetta, ICM, and iTessa. They are very good. There are some challenges that needed to be undertaken and they needed to be validated. So the area under the curve operating characteristics is very important, and this is a good measure for saying if your docking or your tool is doing better. We can compare experimental data and the binding affinity to see if it is doing well. So validation during molecular docking is very important. The sampling problem is something that should not be underestimated. It's very important, but nowadays we can address. Though many of the computer tools for docking, they normally allow like flexibility of some few residues. So lack of flexibility is a problem. But relaxed complex scheme try to address this one. So this is a kind of example of a relaxed complex scheme. So you do molecular dynamic, and then you select a bunch of proteins, and in each of the proteins, so we call them ensemble, you do a molecular docking of each of these. And this is typically what we are going to do today. So what is docking and what are the docking algorithms and what do they do? A brief theory is that you have the receptor and you have the ligand. So we compute or we calculate the binding free energy, so we get the complex. So we have the receptor, we have the ligand. Normally we use the name or the term ligand, and then you have the complex. So this is the receptor ligand complex. There's a lot of forces that are involved in when you do the molecular docking. Okay, so example of the empirical scoring function is this one, that the hydrogen bond, the electrostatic, and the solvation or dissolution energies. So it takes care to compute the binding affinity. And of course, if I am to make this equation very is equal to the contribution of the entropic term minus the temperature times the entropic term contribution. But the entropic brings all up about this one and the entropic. Okay. So now that is the things in brief before we go to do something that I wanted to show. So I wanted first you get this insight. Okay. Is there any question up to that point before we move to the next step? If there is no, then I will go. So Fidele showed us how the where we can get the molecules. So we can get the, yes, Angela, you are welcome.
Sorry, Daniel.
Yes, yes, yes.
I have a minor question as far as
Okay.
the question on the molecular docking of the binding affinity is concerned. What
Yeah.
if it happens now, the ligand, let's say, interact with the receptor molecule by van der Waals interaction only, and at the same time having the very lowest binding affinity? Will that molecule maybe qualify to be a drug-like molecule, a heat molecule that can be subjected for further analysis for drug development?
The answer, it depends. It might be not, or it might be, depending with the docking, how it has been done. It might be binding off target. If it is binding to the active site correctly, doesn't have like polar groups to form hydrogen bond, then it cannot form a hydrogen bond. About the interaction with the favorable interact between the hydrophobic part of the protein and that of the ligand, they will form the van der Waals or non-hydrophobic interaction. And the less binding affinity tells you something that the interaction of the two might not be favorable. By basing on it, it might be not a good, maybe hit, but further analysis needed to be done to confirm. So you cannot all judge from that end, provided that if everything has been done correctly, you can have small confidence on it. But you needed to be sure and confident that everything that was done was perfectly done. And then you can say, maybe it's not a good hit.
Okay,
Just
thank you.
let someone. Okay, perfect. Any other question? Yes, Moraine, go ahead. Please, Moraine, you are raised, your hand is raised. Please go ahead. Hello, I cannot hear you, but just you are raising a hand. Please go ahead. Ask the question.
Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation. But I have a problem. Does binding necessarily mean a drug has an activity?
Necessary condition, but not sufficient. Hello? It is a very necessary condition. In my opinion, is not sufficient. There's a lot of things that we need to consider about it. And it depends how the docking was performed. Did it involve, for example, water molecule, as they are known to play an important role? Was the water molecule involved? Was there the proteins flexible entirely, or some of the residues? So if all the factors are involved, then we can give environment tries to be consistent, then we can say, okay, this is good. It gives a but just downloading a molecule, docking, bumping, one dock, and say, this is it. It may go by chance, but it's not sufficient. Okay. So once you have already, now I think you can move on. Once you already downloaded, I mean, once you know you already downloaded your ligand, you need to prepare them. And once you have prepared, you need also to obtain the receptor. So I said the receptor can be homology modeling, and thanks to AlphaFold, now we can get it. So how do you obtain the protein? I will show you another window. Presenting result. Maybe I will show you my screen here, and this is the thing. Okay, normally the entire the resolved proteins are stored into the protein data bank, the research collaborative for structural biology, RSSB PDB data bank. This is a collection of all or many proteins that people, and then they share collaboratively and they put it here. Suppose that I want now to download my protein. My protein, they normally have code. Okay, so let's say my protein code for the plasmodium is this 1V0. If I put here and I say search, once you do the search, it will then bring out this one. I can click it like this, and it will give me so many options. It's tell here at the left, I can do a lot of things. I can explore the structure. I can explore the sequence annotation, the electron density, the validation report, if the ligand interaction. Of course, if you look here, you will see that there is a ligand. So you can see that the ligand, how is it interacting with the protein. So it will bring up a view, and then you can see your protein and the ligand, how it is interacting. You can rotate in different way. So here it is telling you that this is a bound ligand, and example is water 2040, and also there are ions that they are complex or they are made together within the protein. So you can do a lot with this one. So once you are sure that this is your protein, and of course, remember these are the amino acid sequence of the protein. So if you want to go and use it, there are different formats that you can download it. So you can download using a fast format, PDB, so there are lots. For me, I'm interested with this format. I will say I download with a PDB format. So I click download. Okay, and it will go into a downloading folder, and then you can decide to save your molecule. Once you have saved your molecule into the directory you are working, you can start processing it. Okay, but if you are working is with a very large project, it is better for me. This is the things I like to do, and I advise. You learn how to write code. So the code can do everything. The code will do the recording. I mean, will do the downloading. The code you write will prepare your protein and can help to do it. And I will share with you some of the script that I normally use. So I tend to avoid spending much sitting doing one thing, the click it, download it, do the follow. Okay? So we will start with the first tab part. We have downloaded, and then we need to go one of the file. Yeah, perfect. Good. So where are we? Yes, we're here. Good. So our protein that we downloaded is here. Perfect. This is the protein we downloaded, and we can still open it. I think you can see the screen, right? No problem, right? So the protein we already downloaded. is the molecule we saw. It is complexity with the protein. This is the molecule. So you can use molecular editors like Chimela. There are several of these molecular editors that you can use. So Chimela is one of the editor. So what you can do manually, you can prepare this protein manually. You can go to prepare, like you need to go select chain. Maybe if you say select chain A, it will select it. And then once it will remain with only one chain. But if you have 100 protein, for example, if you are doing proteomics, you spend a month doing these things. But these things you can hardly spend 1 minute, 2 minutes, the thing is done. So what we do is that you write a code, you spend some time, you write a code. For me, this is what I do. So I have wrote some of these tools, like a script that removes a chain, a script that clean a removed chain. So if my protein had two, I was having to chain. So I write a simple script, a bash script, then that I tell where is my protein. So my protein is in Plasmodium falciparum target. For here, it is now in a directory called tools. For sure, it will not work because I need to change this directory and rename it to tool, and then it will work. And when I do this, I use OpenBubble. So OpenBubble can be used in the browser. You can install and use it, but I can use it incorporate into my script, and I use it. So I will call script OpenBubble, and I use it. So I will say there is OpenBubble in my computer in the bin, and then let me use it. And then what I will do in my code, I say for every PDB file. So here, if I could have several of these PDB, maybe they are 100. I don't need to go for one after another, one after another. So my script, I will say for the PDB file in input directory where they are input. So I
Sorry, Daniel.
yes.
I don't know if those description of the script are also being displayed, because we see on, I can see only this where you ended sharing with us, showing the directory where you are working, but you are talking about the script and some of the instructions that should be included in the script, but I cannot see. Sorry for that.
No problem. If you cannot see the script, I will share individually for you to, maybe I go to this screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Oh,
Angelina?
now, yes, now I see.
If I open this script, do you see it?
Maybe try to open first, because I see the files of those bash scripts, the 5
Now?
files. Yes, now I can see.
You can see the script.
No, I see only the files.
You see only the file, it's not the script.
Yes.
Then let me
Yes.
share the entire screen. Perfect. Okay, no problem. I will need to share the entire screen. Okay. So you see the screen? Yes. Hello? Can you see the screen?
No.
Hello, everyone. I just got a text from Daniel. His internet seems to be a challenge. We can just be a bit patient.
Internet. Okay, fine, doctor.
Apology, I had a problem with my internet, so I am back. So what I was trying to explain is that it's better now, in order to save time, you make some script that can help you to do the preparation, to do everything, and you spend less time with you doing everything. So we can make something that goes more into automation. And I think we have used more time, so I will now, maybe you allow me to go straight to the exercise that I wanted you to learn today. Okay. So let me try sharing again. You will need to tell me if everything is okay or everything is not okay. Okay, so I will share. Let me share this. Okay, if I do this. So Angelina, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
And you can see the terminal also?
Yes, I see also even the terminal.
Perfect. So to save time, I would do the following. So instead, there are many docking tools. For me, I like to use scripting. So for here, I have also prepared a proteome. I call it proteome.c. So this proteome.c is doing a docking of a single ligand to multiple proteins. If I will navigate to a protein, maybe I use this, then I list there is a lot of proteins, like 32 or 33 proteins. So all these are the list of the proteins that I already prepared using the scripting. And because I'm doing a single ligand to multiple protein, I need also to prepare, and because I'm doing rigid-based docking, grid-based docking, so I need to prepare the configuration files as required. So I needed to prepare also the configuration file for each of the protein. So each protein name has its own conf file. So for here, I have one protein and it is conf file. So this conf file, exactly what it does, it only it only contains the information about the receptor, the center, the size, and the center of the active site. and the some of the information. So here, like the energy range, exhaustiveness, the number of mode. I could even put a lot of detail. If I wanted to make some less use of the protein to be flexible, I can make this one, I make it like is to be flexible and select some of the less use. So that is possible. Okay. Okay, perfect. But again, if I go to the folder that contain the ligand, okay. If I go to the folder that contain the ligand, I only have one ligand. So I'm doing something what we call target fishing. And finally, I want to show you my code, my proteome.c. What's the name again? Okay, I'm in a different location. BI proteome. So this is what my code is doing. The first part of my code is trying to bring in the ligand, which is this one. The second part is trying to direct where the protein is available. The third information is trying to gather where the config file is available. And it starts now doing something. It tells that make a directory called the results. If you see in my directory, there is no any something called the result, but I'm telling that make a directory which we name it result, where the docking will be put there and all the analysis. And then I'm telling it to create another file called txt with a top score. So I will take the top score into a top score file. And then I need to create a file to store binding energies. The idea is I don't want to be sorting manually. I do the docking, I go to the file, I look what is the highest energy, you pick one. It's wastage of time. With human errors, there's a lot that you can copy with error the number, copy paste, you can do a lot of errors. So we want to do automation. So here we are telling that we make a binding energy xt, and we do binding, we print the file from which binding energy to a binding energy file. And once we are done, we will do some processing of the file here. And once everything is done, we do now our docking with our VINA. Maybe I try to expand it here. So what is doing now here, we will go just to do our process. So it's telling to copy the ligand from the ligand to each of the protein. For each of the protein, I have 33 protein, but making this ligand being docked to a single protein until all they are finished. And I needed to put the docking command into the script, and I tell it to print all the results, to draw the result, and then at the end, I need only to see a plot with the different binding affinity. So this is what we are going to do at this moment, and I will show you. So if everything is clear, if everything is well, and everything is working, I will just allow my script to do a docking. So that is proteome.c. And if it is, everything is okay, then you will see here, my code is running, and it has already created here a file, a directory called the result. And it is now starting doing the docking, showing me on the screen what is happening to each of all the protein. If I open, so if I open the result, are you able to see? Can I ask again? Can you see the two file directories in where I opened or not? Hello?
Are you asking?
Can you
someone
see
else?
the directories that with these things they are populating in a new directory called the result? Can you see like 1D5C, 1D. Do you see?
I see now the docking process is in progress. Just moving
But
from
you don't.
one.
But you don't see the new files, the electrode they have been created.
No, that
No.
platform. No, I see only the platform that is showing the docking process, which is in progress.
Okay, I will create a new window. Okay. Do you see a new terminal I created?
Yeah, this time now I see the platform that you shared with the working directory with the terminal showing CD change directory only.
Okay. Now I do result. Do you see it, right?
Yes, there I see.
Now we have like 4 files in a new
Yeah.
result, right? But with time,
Yeah, all those 6 files are there. I see. Directories are there.
Perfect. So we wait for some time because it is really working here. Now you can see, but it will keep on increasingly once it has done. Now, if we see now, you see the number has increased. So it is creating a file of each protein. So maybe let me do the following, and I do the following. So it is keep on increasing the number of files into the result folder or result directory. So once it is done, so we need to give like some few seconds, I mean time, because there are many proteins. It won't take much time. So once it is done, now here, if I open this one, I will do the following, not to confuse. If I get out of the result, if I do the list, there is another thing that has been created, binding energies.txt. This one, it is trying to show, it is now recording the binding energy and putting them here, recording it. So I'm not doing it myself, but it is recording and putting it here. And at the end of the day, I will ask it to plot the binding energy for me. So I don't waste time. So I will leave it to work, and I go to find the coffee once it is done. And then I'll come and see how the work has been done. And I want to see the feedback. Okay? So while it is running, we can I welcome if there is some question? Is there any question while the things is running? Okay. If there is no, yes, and go ahead.
Sorry, once again. So even in the instructions that it should sort out those binding affinities and assemble, then they are included in the same script.
I do everything in the same script.
Oh, thank you.
So the advice for me, you spend more time making the script, you make your life easier in the next and next and next.
So maybe the other thing, Daniel, is there any possibility of editing the script so that it can go the vice versa now? Instead of having a single ligand, then you have multiple ligands, but you run docking against a single protein.
Yes, you can do whatever you want. You can write a code with a single protein in many ligand. That's we do visual screening. This is yes, no problem.
Hello, is it, you've talked about target fishing. Is it the same as reverse docking?
Kind of, yes.
Or am I confused? Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, my background is in wet chemistry, and I find
No
this
problem.
coding thing fascinating. How can I get to know that kind of code, or is it too late in life?
Okay, I've started an online course for 8 months, and this is the first month. Of course, we are in the third week. Third week. So you are welcome to join. It is online, and I've started training on how to do automation in drug design, making scripting and coding that can make smart science when it comes to doing these things.
Okay, I'd love to get the details after this. Yeah, thanks.
Sure, we can talk about it after this session.
I'll contact you. Thanks.
Yeah. There was another hand. I don't know. It was Philip. Yes, Philip, please.
Thank you, sir. Please, how much time is necessary to run such an experiment?
How many time? Come again. What is?
How much time is necessary to run such experiment?
How many time? How long does this experiment take?
Yes.
Good. It really depends. Now, docking generally is cheap. It's not like molecular dynamic simulation. For here is trying to take some time because the number of I have so many ligand, protein into the system. They are 30. And what I'm doing is like every single protein is being docked. So let me see if I go to result. Yes, now there's many protein. They have been docked, about few remaining, and we will finish it soon. So it takes short time for molecular docking. It's not much expensive. When I say expensive, I mean the computational power that it uses. So it is cheap compared to molecular dynamics, and you can screen in millions of compounds in a short time, and it takes short time. But how long? It depends. For a single molecule, it can take 1 minute, 2 minutes, a second. But with the other thing I was talking in the afternoon, the convolutional neural network, it takes a bit quite longer time because you need to go deeper. It's based on deep learning. You need to go into different nodes. So the way you go deeper, the way it takes time. So it really depends. Okay. Yes, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. This year approach to target fishing, I find it very interesting. Where you can have one ligand and target many proteins at the same time. In fact, I think it is a very interesting approach, being that when you dock one ligand to one target and get the result, and the ligand is very promising and eventually comes to it develop into a drug molecule. I'm a biochemist. I'm not very good. I'm a biochemist. My mentor in molecular docking is Professor Ntie-Kang. So I can say I'm a parasite biochemist. You see, when you have a compound that targets only one protein in that parasite quickly develops resistance. But if that molecule, that compound, that drug targets many proteins within that parasite, it becomes very difficult for the parasite to develop resistance against that drug. So, if we have an approach where we can use machine learning or molecular docking to verify if one compound at the same time we can see how many proteins it can bind to, then it's very interesting.
Yes.
So I would like to get in touch with you, maybe through Dr. Ntie-Kang.
Absolutely. You are welcome.
No, thank you.
Yes.
I'm learning something very interesting from you.
Perfect. Tia, want to say something? Derek? No, Fidele, do you want to say something or no?
Yeah, I would say that actually we have theoretically run out of time. It's just that we had 15 minutes more because of the problem we had with the 45 minutes presentation, keynote lecture 2. But now that we are not sure about Thomas, I would say that we have really done a lot. Can we look at some of the questions on the chat?
So while we are waiting our docking to finish, we can go with the questions into the chat. Thank you. After tea break, I don't. Maybe you help. I mispressed. I don't see questions here. Maybe there is no. Help me. Maybe because I'm sharing the screen, I don't see anything.
Okay, some questions about sharing. Okay. Can you kindly share the procedure written or writing of an algorithm?
Yes. Okay.
Like writing.
The doc is just so now the docking has completed. Everything is okay. Now you was able before to see my screen, and now in my screen you will see some many other files have popped in. Okay, so you will see. Let me try to click this and do you see this graph has been plotted? Hello?
We can't see a graph.
You can see.
We cannot. I mean, I can only see
We see only the platform you shared showing the end
the results, the 10 results.
Okay, perfect. Let me share the screen itself. No problem. Our sharing in Google Meet sometimes is challenging. Binding energy. I will share on this. Allow. So this one I think you can see. You can see the binding. Perfect.
Yeah,
so
now we can see.
Okay. So now this is the binding energy distribution for the several 33 proteins here against a single ligand, and tries to show you some of the promising molecular targets in this organism. See, if you are to say, I want my cutoff to be 10, then you will still have like 4 molecules that are targeting a multiple target for that. If you are cutoff, you say it is 8, you have many molecules, I mean many proteins. If you say my cutoff is minus 10.5, then you have like 3 molecules. I mean proteins that are multi-targeted. But the things that I wanted to share with you, we can do a lot of automation and do a smart and nice science when we are doing our our science. So you don't need necessarily to be like sitting for everything, clicking and do this. I don't know, I hate clicking, sorry. But you can do an automation. The system will do everything for you, but you should know what you are doing. Okay. So for the other part of the machine learning I was talking, I will not show you because for the benefit of time, but ideally the thing is this one, and we can do a nice and smart way to understand this one. So we can download the protein in a single line. We make a line to download the protein. We make a line to clean the protein, and we can do everything in a nicer way and very smart. And we store everything in a file, and at the end we need to get only the output. So this is the thing I wanted to share with you, and I should appreciate. Thanks a lot, and I apologize for the my connection problem I had that delayed a little bit for some minute. So Fidele, I should say maybe this is the end to some extent also covered about Thomas, so there is no worry about it. Okay.
Okay.
For those
So thank you.
interested, you are welcome. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. I would say that we have had, this is the third time we're doing the same hands-on. And every time it's getting better because new ideas are always coming up. And I would say that target fishing can be very tricky if you are using only one approach. If, for example, you're using only molecular docking, typically, you know, the output you want to trust is the scoring function. And usually the scoring function is if you're using, for example, CAiSMD, which is based on experimentally derived complexes from the PDB. You know, you will certainly know that every time the PDB is updated, so you expect that the more recent releases of Schrödinger should perform better than the previous ones, right? When I was doing my PhD, it was quite different than now. So what I'm saying is, when you have an empirical scoring function like CAiSMD, it is trained on protein ligand complexes from the PDB. So you're putting is just one in many millions of proteins that are being used to train these this scoring function. So it can be very tricky to trust one value. That's